morning everybody and welcome to Alexa Live. My name is Mariel van Tatenhoven and today I want to walk you through where do we begin leveraging our solution providers. How can we help you build engaging Alexa experiences? So again, welcome. So before I go into the agenda, I want to introduce you to the members of the Global Solution Provider team. The Global Solution Provider team is led by Laura Scribolo. The channel leads for the different types of solution provider channels are myself, Mariel van Tatenhoven, and I head up the ODM Solutions and Networks. Michael Bedugnes is the head of the system integrators. Divine Ofori Amakwa is the head of our consulting partners, and Matthew Kedman head up the agencies. So what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about solution providers and how they can help you and how you can take advantage of solution providers. So I want to start it off by showing you an overview of what are solution providers and what can they do for you. Then I go into more depth of the different type of solution providers we have and when you should use what type of solution provider. How to engage with solution providers is the next topic on the agenda. Then I'm going to show you 3 case studies that kind of show some of the successes that we've had working with OEMs and solution providers. And finally, some best practices and resources that we have for you to get started. Let's get started with an introduction to our vision and why we decided and have developed a network of solution providers. So our vision for Alexa is Alexa everywhere. We see a world where Alexa is assisting individuals in a very natural way with everyday tasks, wherever and whenever you want. Whether that is at home, whether that's on the go, whether that is at work, we want you to have a very natural and good experience with Alexa devices. So in order to achieve that vision, we realized that we would have to enable a lot of different OEMs and brands, and OEMs are the original equipment manufacturers, the people that launch products and own brands like think Sonos, think Hewlett and Packard, and a lot of brands in a variety of market segments as well. So that basically gave us a challenge, because how do we help all these different OEMs, brands, different market segments, different countries to bring devices to market that will delight their customers. So the challenge was that when we started working with OEMs and brands in the early days to help them develop and launch Alexa solutions, we very quickly learned that it's not easy. And for those OEMs and brands, it takes multiple disciplines and it also takes different types of expertise. And not all OEMs and brands have this expertise in-house. So to support all these different brands and OEMs with a scalable model for Amazon, we quickly realized that we needed to create a network of solution providers, that we could train, that we could build with them the expertise and the capabilities so they could support all these different OEMs and brands that really wanted to have good Alexa products that would delight their consumers, their customers. So that was the challenge. What was the solution? The solution was that we decided that in order to scale, we were going to build out a network of solution providers with in-depth knowledge and capabilities to build good Alexa devices. So let's dive a little bit deeper in why solution providers can be an asset for OEMs and brands to bring an Alexa device to market. So why engage a solution provider? Some of the key reasons to engage a solution provider are that by leveraging qualified solution providers, you can simplify your Alexa integration and you can also simplify your development, get to market faster, and finally you can reduce your internal development cost. And I want to go a little bit deeper into each one of these 3 reasons why to engage solution providers and give you examples. So the first one, you're accelerating your time to market, which of course for everybody is extremely important. Our solution providers are trained and have experience in designing Alexa devices that meet the Amazon requirements. And when I talk about Amazon requirements, we work back from the perfect customer experience. So when users interact with Alexa, they have certain expectations of how Alexa responds and how she can interact with you. So Amazon requirements include functional requirements, it includes UX requirements, it includes music requirements, and it also includes one of the most important one, acoustic requirements. Because customers and users, when they say the name and ask Alexa a question, first of all, they want Alexa to hear them. Then they want Alexa to understand the question. And most importantly, they then want Alexa to give them the right answer. So the last one that is also a requirement is around security and around privacy. So by using one of our solution providers in the network that we have trained on all these requirements and they know how to build the products that meet these requirements, you can basically reduce the learning cycles of your own team and can be in the market faster. And I now want to give you an example of accelerated time to market. We had an OEM in Brazil that we engaged with just about over a year ago in June, July of 2019. And that local OEM wanted to be part of the Brazilian launch of Alexa, which was happening in October 2019. So it was basically a pretty short time between us starting to engage and the launch of Alexa in Brazil. So the solution was to get them to market early was that we introduced them to a couple of ODMs and SIs that had already built products for other brands in other regions, created a white box that other companies could white label. So the Brazilian partner engaged with one of the ODM and SIs that had created one of those products. They basically worked with the SI to get the Brazilian language qualified and to customize the application in Brazilian. They worked with the ODM and changed some of the colors and put their logo on the product. And they basically were basically ready to ship the product in time to participate of the launch of Alexa in Brazil. Going to one of the next reasons why it's sometimes good to engage with solution providers. The solution providers can simplify your Alexa development. So the solution providers in our network have already built devices, so they've already launched devices, so you can leverage their experience and their expertise. So one example of that was we had an OEM and they already had a basic design for their product. They had their industrial design, they had the architecture, but the product did not yet include Alexa, and they were eager to launch the product with Alexa built in. So the OEM was connected to one of our SIs in our network that had a hardware module and could do the complete software integration that could then be implemented in the existing product of the OEM. So by doing that, the OEM could focus on their own engineering expertise in-house and could leverage the Alexa expertise that the SI had, combine the two and bring the product to market with simplified development. The next reason to work with a solution provider is really that solution providers can help you reduce development cost. Because the solution providers are part of a network, they have pre-qualified solutions, they have expertise, so you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can leverage the qualified solutions, and by doing that, you can reduce your own internal development resources. And when you reduce your own internal resources, of course, that means reducing your own internal development cost. We have an example here as well. Last year, we were approached by a premier auto company, a car company. The company was experts in designing cars, but in-house they did not have the expertise to integrate voice. And because they didn't even know where to begin, we partner them with one of our consultancy partners that really help them from the beginning of the journey of how do I want the experience of voice in my car, all the way to prototyping and to product launch, and the product launched in Q1. So these are all kind of considerations that might make you consider using a solution provider when you start thinking about adding Alexa to your devices. Next, I want to give a little bit of an overview of who are these solution providers and what are some of the advantages when I start engaging and working with some of these solution providers. So the advantages of using a solution provider are really that they are partners that meet our criteria. And when I talk about criteria, I talk about, we look at it from a business point of view. Can these partners from a business point of view support our OEMs to be trusted to deliver products to their customers? And also, do they meet our technical criteria? Technical criteria include software capabilities, hardware capabilities, acoustic capabilities, testing and manufacturing capabilities. So next, what is important to know is that our solution providers can provide global solutions, but those global solutions can easily be adapted for regional and local implementations and requirements. So our solution providers can basically support Alexa products in all countries where Alexa is available. We also have solution providers that have support and offices across North America, Europe, Asia Pac, as well as Latin and South America. And basically they can customize for local requirements, local language requirements with your partners. So our solution providers, another advantage is, are connected. A lot of times our solution providers work together. They use qualified reference design from some of our chipset vendors, and they leverage each other's knowledge and expertise. Finally, an advantage of working with solution providers is that solution providers can offer you full service, partial service, basically allowing you to buy, not build. Or maybe you want to build partially, but you don't want to do everything yourself. So you don't need to expand all your development resources. You can basically go to some of these solution providers and pay for what you use. Then later on, you can also reuse them for future products where you already have the relationship. They know your products, they know your requirements. So again, it is reusing what you've already built up. So solution providers can offer complete solutions within your domain. You can also reuse their qualified architectures. So basically start with something that they've already done and then customize it for your requirements and your product needs. Or you can just pay for part of the design effort that you need. So let's say you have all the right hardware in-house, you have industrial design engineers in-house, you have software engineers, but maybe you lack acoustic knowledge. So you can engage with one of the solution providers to help you with the acoustic design, with the acoustic testing, and with the acoustic tuning. So that's some of the advantages of working with solution providers. So with that, I want to switch and I want to show you the different types of solution providers that we have in our network. So in our network, we have 4 different types of solution providers. And engaging with one or more of these solution providers, it really depends on where you are in your design and your development, what capabilities you have. So for example, let's start with the top left box on this slide. When you are in early considerations on your voice strategy, you really don't have a clear idea of a product, a use case, or your go-to market. It could be a good idea to start with consulting professional services and agencies, because they can really walk you through the whole journey of where do I want to have the voice strategy? What is the end user experience? Then going into what does that mean for the products? What products do I want to integrate the voice in, all the way to prototyping, development, and then eventually they can also help with out-of-the-box experience, marketing, and go-to-market strategies. Now, maybe you are a little bit further in your journey of building and launching an Alexa device, and you already have a product idea, you might already have a high-level architecture idea, but you really don't want to have your engineers to do the complete design, development. You want to hand that off. In that case, you could select one of our original design manufacturers, ODMs, because ODMs have the capability to take your ideas, your high-level architecture, and turn them into products. So they can support you through design, development, pre-testing, testing, and finally full-blown high-volume manufacturing. Original design manufacturers can offer you complete white label solutions like I talked about in the example of the Brazilian company who took an already pre-tested device, changed colors and logos and brought it to market. They can start with a qualified reference design, so you can take an already proven architecture and then customize for your requirements, customize it for your industrial design, or you can basically go to one of them and engage them in a complete custom design, but they take your direction, your strategy, your architecture, and take over the design, the development, and the testing. So different business model, different options. So let's talk a little bit about the system integrators. Another example might be that you already have a product, you already have your architecture, your industrial design, you know how to design the product, you have manufacturing partners, but the part that is missing is the Alexa integration and the acoustics. So in that case, you can go to one of our system integrators. Our system integrators have pre-tested Bluetooth Wi-Fi modules that have the Alexa SDK integrated into the firmware. You can take one of these pre-tested modules, add it to your product. The system integrators can also help you through the whole pre-testing and certification of your product so that you don't have to do this in-house and leverage their engineering capability and resources. So then across all of this, we have our chipset vendors. Basically what we do with chipset vendors is we qualify their microarray and acoustic reference designs so that they are already qualified solutions. Acoustic was the first problems that when companies started integrating Alexa, the microarray and acoustic were giving customers the most problems. So by working with chipset vendors to have them pre-test microarray and acoustic integrations, it will help OEMs to not having to do that themselves. And actually our system integrators, original design manufacturers, consulting professional services, we encourage them to also use one of the tested, qualified reference solutions to make it a more robust solution. And I would say 90% of our partners in our solution provider network take advantage of using one of those qualified reference solutions. So this shows you kind of what are the type of solution providers in the network. And going to the next slides, I now show you our network of existing partners that we have onboarded into the program. So we launched the first program in Q4 of 2017. We launched with 2 ODMs and 3 system integrators. Since the inception of the program in Q4 of 2017, we have added over 30 ODMs. We have added over 20 SIs. We have at the moment over 50 consulting professional services and agencies in our program. And then we have more than 10 reference designs from qualified chipset solutions. And in the chipset area, we basically adding qualified solutions and reference design for new use cases and new products. With each one of these solution providers, we really dive deep into their business before we add them to see that they can expand our network and see how they can help OEMs and brands to really develop innovative products that can really help delight our OEMs customers in their market segments and with their products needs. So I want to give you, for each one of the 4 types of solution providers, kind of a little bit of a flavor of what these type of companies are. These are examples. This is by far not everything. As you saw on the previous slide, our network has expanded dramatically since the inception in 2017. But just to give you an idea, in each one of these channels, what type of partners are there. For a full set of onboarded partners, you can go to the Alexa developer portal, and I'll show you at the end of this presentation where you can find the full list of all the companies that are part of our solution provider network. So looking at consultancy, professional services and agencies, we have worked with companies like Clickattack, Skillet Creative and Synapse. Looking at system integrators, we're working with companies like Linkplay, Cardinal Peak, Stream Unlimited. Linkplay is very knowledgeable and have launched a lot of products in hearables and speakers. Cardinal Peak is very much focused on hearables, so we try to make sure that we cover with solution providers different market segments and different products. In the original design manufacturers, for example, Tonly, very strong in speakers and connected home products. SGW is an ODM that is very deep and very knowledgeable in cordless and DECT phones. And WNC is one of the top router and networking companies in the world. Chipset vendors, we work with big companies and well-known brands like Qualcomm and MediaTek, but we also work with DSP companies like DSPG and DSPC. So with that, on the next slide, I really want to show you an example of what solution providers, what type of products solution providers have been launching. And again, from the beginning of the presentation, when I explained our vision, that our vision is really to have Alexa everywhere, on the go, in the home, really wherever you expect her to be of assistance. In order to do that, we need to make sure that we have solutions that basically allow us to achieve that vision. So to give you a couple of examples, starting in the computing, companies like Compal and Wistron have launched multiple Alexa for PC notebooks with tier 1 worldwide OEMs and brands. In the speaker category, Stream Unlimited has launched several products with notable brands. Tonly has launched both speakers as well as connected home products with major OEMs in Europe and in Japan. In the hearables, Cardinal Peak and Linkplay both have experience and launched products with headphone products with notable ODMs. And similar for the video space, where both Sagemcom and Aris have launched products with big brands. In the router and connected home, WNC launched last year their first Alexa built-in router and extender for a major US telco company. So again, all these companies have a lot of experience in their segments, in the products that they have built up their knowledge. And we are working with them to train them to, on top of the knowledge that they have in building the products that they're used to, also add the expertise to build robust Alexa devices that will meet all the requirements and delight customers in the market. Okay, so now you kind of know what types of solution providers we have in our network, kind of have an idea for who these companies are, a couple of examples of the names of those solution providers. Let's go a little bit deeper in how do you engage with these solution providers? Who do you engage with when to basically leverage what they can bring to the table? So this slide basically shows all the different disciplines and things a company needs to do to bring a product to market with Alexa successful. So there's product design and manufacturing, there is acoustic and microarray designs, and then there's firmware development, AVS client implementation, Bluetooth Wi-Fi implementation. So on the top, you see that on the left side, the far left, if you do everything yourself, it's very high touch, very high customization. The farther you go to the right and leverage solutions and expertise from the solution providers in our network, the lower the customization, the lower touch, and the quicker to market. So I'm going to give you an example of each one of these, and so that I can illustrate what it means and kind of steer you so you understand how to engage, when, and how these solution providers can help. So on the far left, we worked with a big brand, speaker brand, that wanted to bring an Alexa product to market. They have their own engineering teams, they have their own industrial design, they control their own architecture, and they select their own manufacturing partners. So basically, they started from scratch and did everything themselves. As you can understand, that means that they have to train their engineering teams, they have to learn about microarray, they have to learn about acoustic design. So a very high touch, high customized engagement, which in their case worked for them because they had that knowledge and they wanted to build up that expertise because they really want to control their own products. Now, the second column was another speaker brand, and again, also they really want to control their own products. They have built up a lot of knowledge on building products, but they didn't have expertise in acoustic and in microarray. So they partnered with one of our chipset vendors. They basically took their reference design for microarray and acoustic and basically leveraged their expertise, not having to build that expertise in-house and making the design effort less and quicker time to market. So then the third one, the middle box, it was a company that already had a product. They had a high-level architecture, but they also had their own manufacturing partners. They had already started working with a chipset vendor to explore their reference design, but what they really lacked was the Bluetooth Wi-Fi integration needed to enable Alexa, and also the firmware and the AVS client porting to the firmware. So they engaged with one of our system integrators, pre-qualified Bluetooth Wi-Fi module with the Alexa client ported to the firmware, and they reduced their effort to having to do that work themselves. Then a similar example was a company, a US company, came to us and said, look, we have a high-level product design, we have a high-level architecture, and we already are working with one of your ODMs in your network, so we want to hand off the design, the development, software, testing, acoustic, and high-volume manufacturing. We want to completely hand that over to the ODM. So that's where the OEM did the first initial architecture and design, and then handed over the complete design to an ODM to basically help them bring the product to market. And then finally, the quickest way to market is the right column here, where, as an example that I gave before, where you can have an OEM that doesn't want to do any development. They can go to an ODM or an ODM and SI combination in this case, where they can say, hey, what products do you have that already ship with another company? Can we leverage that product, make minor changes to maybe the color, maybe some of the texture and the finish, put our logo on it, help customize for the language, and get to market without us having to do any engineering effort. So again, this slide shows the different options from high customization using solution providers to the quickest time to market with the lowest effort from your engineering teams. And then at the bottom, our consulting professional services and agencies can basically help you across the whole journey. They can help you initially with helping you define your voice strategy and your user experience that you want to achieve with your products, all the way through launch. A lot of times the consulting professional services leverage one of our system integrators, leverage some of our ODMs, and they work closely with the chipset vendors to use their qualified reference designs. So this is kind of an engagement slide that can help you decide when you engage with solution providers, where do I fit? What capabilities do I have? Where is the gap in capabilities? So what solution providers should I go to for help? The next thing when you engage with a solution provider is important to know what are your objectives. So when I talk about objectives, very important is understanding what is your use case. What is the user experience, the product that you want to bring to market? Then the next thing is assess what are the capabilities needed to design and bring that product to market, and where are the gaps in my company that I can leverage the expertise from one or more solution providers in the network. Price points are important. Important to know what are the marketplaces and regions that you're planning to launch, because we have solution providers that are stronger and have more experience in Europe. We have other solution providers that are more focused on the US or on South America. So it's important to know before you engage with one of these companies to know where you want to launch. Timing is important. When do you want to ship the product? Also, when do you need first prototypes, so that when you engage with solution providers, those expectations are clear up front. And then finally, production level. Do you already have production partners, or do you need help finding the right production partners? So with that, I now want to illustrate everything I've been explaining before here with a couple of case studies. And we already touched upon it before, but I want to go a little bit deeper. The first example was an example of an OEM that engaged an SI to help them bring their product to market. So what was the challenge? The challenge was that this was an OEM that already had an 8-inch screen-based speaker that they had designed, but the speaker did not include Alexa, and they had the desire to launch the product with Alexa. So what was the solution? We helped the OEM select a newly onboarded system integrator. The AVS system integrator team worked with the SI on a project plan, high-level milestones and deliverables. They helped them with routing all the technical questions to our solution provider support center. And the SI also did all the pre-testing and helped the OEM drive the whole project through certification through our dev portal. What was the result? The OEM basically completed their development and was ready to launch their product just in 3 months' time. To learn more and go a little bit deeper into system integrators, there is a session later today by my colleagues Michael Beduknis and Amy King, where you can learn more about all the system integrators and the capabilities they have. The next case study I want to show you is an OEM that enlisted the help of an ODM. So what was the challenge? The challenge was that we had a telecompany come to us, and they wanted to launch their new router and extender through an ODM, and they wanted to launch it and have it ready for a beta test with full production units in 6 months. So when the ODM came to us last year in Q1 and explained that, we explained to them that in general, new companies, first-time product, the ODM was not yet onboarded. We had it started engaging, but they had not done a full development. We told them that in general, it can take 9 to 12 months, but they were insistent. So we took on the challenge. So the ODM team in Taiwan worked very closely with the ODM, and also enlisted the help of one of our chipset vendors that had a qualified reference design and acoustics, so that they could leverage that expertise. And they also enlisted the help of a other ODM that was already qualified, that was basically in the same global company. So the chairman of both companies is the same. That company, that ODM, already had an acoustic lab, a lot of experience, so they provided extra acoustic testing. What was the result? The router and extender passed certification and were ready to start beta testing by the end of June, which was just under 5 months. So again, really leveraging multiple solution providers allowed us to support that OEM in bringing that product to market in the time frame that they requested. The third example is an example where an OEM enlisted the help of one of our CPSs. I talked a little bit about it before, but it's the car company that is excellent in designing cars, but they really needed a lot of help developing a complete voice strategy. So they needed help in defining what is the voice strategy in the car, what is the right user experience, from prototypes to full basically integration and manufacturing of the hardware modules. Solution was the CPS worked across the organizations to develop a custom microarray and software that met the requirements for the auto implementation. And the result was that the car launched with a seamless Alexa experience earlier this year. So these are three kind of good examples of different types of OEMs leveraging different types of solution providers in our network. So with all of this, I want to kind of close off with what are some of the best practices. Some of the best practices, I touched upon it before, but really define your use case first. The better you understand your use case and what you expect the voice experience to be, the better the solution providers can help. Also, engage solution providers early. We've had sometimes that solution providers are brought in at the very end of the design and the development, and it's very hard at that point to still make changes. Sometimes it means a redesign. So really engage your solution providers early. And then last but not least, we always recommend to engage, when you start engaging, to look and talk to at least 2 solution providers before you start making decisions who you want to work with. So with that, I want to point out what can be some of the next steps for you when you want to engage with solution providers. First of all, attend the rest of today's session. I talked about it before, but there is a breakout session for system integrators later today. There is a breakout session by Jonathan Tenlock in my team that goes deep dive into the ODM session. And then Divine and Matt will go deeper in the CPS and agency partners in our network. So I encourage you to attend one or more of those sessions later today. So with that, I would like to thank you for participating in this session of the Alexa Live event about solution providers. I hope that it was useful for you. I hope this will help you in the future when you consider using one of our solution providers. I also encourage you to go to the place where you can rate this session and also visit our page where you can look at all the resources that are available for you. And I wish you a great day and a great rest of Alexa Live Event 2020.